When we're talking about slope, we're talking about how steep a line is. It only ever really comes up when we're talking about coordinates. So if we have two lines, such as the ones here, we can see from looking at the diagram that A and B are steeper. But the thing about it is, how do we prove that? So something that we always look at is our horizontal distance from point A to point B and our vertical distance from point A to point B, and we call this the rise and the run. So we've got a rise of 5 meters, and then we've got a run of 4 meters. Okay, and then the same for M and N. We've got a rise of 5 meters, which is the same, but our run is different, and we've got a run of 6 meters. So the horizontal distance for MN is more than the horizontal distance for AB, which makes it look steeper for AB. But how do we measure that? So we've got two formulas that we use. The first one is called the rise over the run. Both measure the slope, but it just depends on what we get given in the question, depends on what we use. So if we're given a graph like this, we would use the rise over run formula here at the bottom, where we have the vertical height, which is our rise, over our horizontal height, or our horizontal distance, which is our run. So if I was to calculate this then, so the slope is the rise over the run for AB. Our rise, as we were figured out, was going to be 5 meters. We're dividing that by our run, which is 4 meters. So then our slope is 5 over 4. It's going to be equal to 5 over 4. Okay, then for MN, we also have our slope, which has a rise of 5 meters, and our run is 6 meters. So our slope for our MN is going to be 5 over 6. Now you see the difference here. We've got 5 over 4, which we know is going to be bigger than 5 over 6 if we treat it like a top-heavy fraction. So the slope of AB is greater, as we all said all along that it was going to be steeper. So that's how we know it's going to be steeper, because it has a bigger slope. Now there's another formula that we can use. This is if we are given 2 points. Okay, so same kind of scenario. We still have 2 points. We've got a line, which is our blue line there. The 2 points A and B. I've got them labelled. So I have their x coordinate and y coordinate labelled as x1, y1 and x2, y2 for B, so we don't get them confused. Same kind of idea in that we're using our rise and our run. However, when we get given 2 points, we can use a different kind of formula. So we can use our y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. So we don't even need to know the diagram off by heart. We just need to know this yellow box down here. So the two formula, we've got a rise over run, or we've got y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, something else that would probably be a good idea to know is we use the letter M to represent slope. So like when we were talking about it in our algebra, where we've letters that represent things, we always use M to represent slope. So I would say M is equal to 5 over 4 if we go back up to AB here. So I could say M is equal to 5 over 4 for AB. Always M. So I would also say, in that case, that M is also equal to 5 over 6 for MN, for the line of MN. Now another example of this, using this formula, would be this one down here. So this is just where we can use each formula. So the examples for both of them. So this is an example of a line. I've drawn out my rise and my run line so we can see it. So this is where we would use our rise over our run, because we're not given the 2 points. So our rise is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I would say our rise is 7 from counting the boxes across. And then our run, so our horizontal distance, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 boxes across. So I would say our run is going to be 12. So then, using our rise over our run formula, I would say that the slope, or M, either which way you want to use it, is going to be our rise over our run, which is going to be 7 over 12. Now, this fraction you can simplify, and we always simplify down as small as we can go. In this case, we can't. We also have another example here of where we're given 2 points. So this is where we're going to use that second formula. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 to find the slope. So I've been given 2 points. There's no diagram in this one. So what I'm going to do firstly is label my coordinates. So my point A, I'm going to label with x coordinate for the first point, y coordinate for the first point. On my point B, I'm going to say my x coordinate for my second point, and my y coordinate for my second point. So from there, I'm going to fill that in. So I'm going to have my y2, which is 4, minus my y1, which is 2, all over x2, which is 3, and then minus x1, which is 1. So I'm going to end up with 2 over 2. A number over itself is always going to give us 1. So therefore, our slope of AB, in this case, for that particular line, is going to be 1.